Now let's talk sliding doors moments from the Chiefs-Raiders game. The Chiefs' offense looked really good at times. They were able to get into the red zone 5 times, really appearing to move the ball up and down the field during parts of this game. Mahomes threw for over 300 yards, but they ended up only scoring 19 points, and they only won this game by 2. So as you can probably imagine, there were a lot of plays that they left on the field. A lot of times where had they just done something differently, they might have had more points and they might have won this game a little more comfortably. So in this segment, let's look at several of these plays to see what could have been different for the Chiefs offense had they made a couple more things happen. And we'll start here on the first drive of the game. They're 10-13 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs have marched it down the field, and they now have a 3rd and 4 at the Raiders' 7-yard line. The Chiefs come out in 11 personnel. They have 1 running back, Samaje Perine, and 1 tight end is Travis Kelce. 3 wide receivers are Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then over here isolated is DeAndre Hopkins. So now I want you to watch DeAndre Hopkins and Jack Jones at the snap here, or pre-snap, I should say. The Chiefs appear to be trying to isolate Hopkins and get him to run a route. So they first move Samaje Perine over to the left. And I want you to notice Jack Jones's feet. So right now, he's standing a little bit inside of DeAndre Hopkins. He's got inside leverage, basically understanding that he probably won't have help to the middle of the field. So he's trying to prevent Hopkins from going inside and running a slant. Well, after Perine moved from right to left, watch Jack Jones's feet right here. He steps back outside and goes like head up right over Hopkins. Well, the Chiefs run another motion. They send Perine out wide. And then watch Jack Jones again right here. He steps right back inside right before the snap. So again, he's got inside leverage, anticipating an inside route. Well, unfortunately for the Chiefs, that's exactly what they're running. They have isolated Hopkins. They sent Perine out to try to remove more underneath defenders. And what they want to do is just run a slant to Hopkins right here to try to get a first down or a touchdown. But Jack Jones, right before the snap, moved right inside to get in his way for that. Hopkins has to try to run the slant right through Jones, and Jones does a great job of being physical here and preventing a completion, getting in the way and trying to get a hand on the ball to prevent a completion, and the Chiefs have 4th down. This is really just a great individual effort by Jack Jones, kind of anticipating what he thinks is going to happen, getting inside, and now you can see it from here. It just makes this catch very difficult for Hopkins. He's very physical there, leading to the incompletion. So right there is 4 points off the board. Instead of being able to get a touchdown, the Chiefs have to settle for a field goal due to that great individual effort from Jack Jones. And it's an unsuccessful red zone trip without being able to get the touchdown. For our next sliding doors moment, we're going to jump ahead to 2:49 to go in the first quarter. Chiefs are moving the ball again, and they have a 1st and 15 at the Raiders' 32-yard line. They come out here in 12 personnel. Their 2 tight ends are Noah Gray, and this is Anthony Ferkser. Their running back is Isaiah Pacheco. So 1 running back, 2 tight ends gives you 12 personnel. Wide receivers are McCole Hardman and DeAndre Hopkins. And the Raiders end up running a cover 1 man, but they blitz. So they actually don't even have enough guys with their safety going deep. They don't even have enough guys to cover all the Chiefs' eligible receivers. And so you see here, this is their deep safety. They're going to bring both of these guys into blitz. So they're manned up here, manned up here, manned up here, and they've got a deep safety. So they don't have anyone accounting for either of these two if they leak out late. And initially, you'll notice Ferkser ultimately leaks out late. And look at him. We got all this green grass in front of him. But at this point, Mahomes has already had some pressure. And he looked over to his right immediately when the play started before his play action. At that point, Ferkser was blitzing. And then Mahomes is looking down the field. So he's not even aware. He hasn't kind of come this far into his progression. And part of the reason is he does have an open guy, so he's not worried as he comes around and has to step up into the pocket, and he's looking at Noah Gray's break right here. So you see Mahomes getting ready to throw right as Noah Gray is breaking on his route. Now, unfortunately, Mahomes appears to anticipate Gray breaking this route down the field, and Gray breaks it toward the sideline. So, but you see when he's throwing it, Gray hasn't completely established where he's breaking. He's already launching this ball. And so Mahomes ends up throwing it down the field. Look at Gray running horizontally still. He tries to adjust once he sees the flight of the ball, but it's too late at that point. He's not going to be able to catch up. And the ball falls harmlessly to the ground. You can see it here too. Like we said, it has dropped back. Mahomes looking over to Ferkser initially, but Ferkser's still blocking. By the time Ferkser leaks out with nobody on him, Mahomes is already downfield. Look, right when he hits the back of his drop, he's already getting pressure from Max Crosby. So he doesn't really have time to sit and survey and see somebody wide open on the right side. He's coming up. In his line of vision is Noah Gray about to make his break. And as you can see, Mahomes is starting to make this throw already as Gray is just starting his break. And he's anticipating Gray taking it farther down the field. But Gray had started breaking this way. So by the time he adjusts down there just isn't the time. It's just two guys not being quite on the same page. And unfortunately, the ball falls harmlessly incomplete on a play that could have been a touchdown. The next sliding doors moment, unfortunately, comes on the very next play. So after that missed pass to Gray, we have 2nd and 15 at the 32-yard line. The Chiefs are in 12 personnel. They've got Kareem Hunt as the running back. The two tight ends are Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, and the two wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy. So the Chiefs are going to have Xavier Worthy come and run an out route. They've been using him more in the intermediate areas this year, as we talked about last week and this week. And this was another situation where they were looking for him. And let's watch the play develop here. So Worthy first brings his route in and then is going to break back out. So here he comes in. And the key here is to watch how he breaks out and watch Mahomes. He's looking over at Worthy, waiting for this to develop. As Worthy makes his break and Mahomes is you can see he's gearing to throw. And I want you to look at the angle at which Worthy's running here. Especially this step that he's about to take. Look in which direction he's going. He appears to be going diagonally right here at this angle, which is what he's doing when Mahomes throws this ball. And then watch as he rounds it out, and he goes from what was more like this angle to now like this. But he kind of came at it like that. So when Mahomes throws the ball, he looks like he's going at this angle. And unfortunately, Mahomes throws the ball assuming he's going to continue more at that kind of angle. Let's watch it again. Mahomes is releasing the ball right here. He's cocking to throw. And look at the way that Worthy's going. Worthy is going like this. And then once Worthy is he's almost running parallel to the sideline now. So Mahomes has thrown this expecting a little more depth on that route. And the ball ends up sailing over his head. Had Worthy continued on this trajectory, that kind of diagonal, which would have led him straight toward the first down. Well, that wasn't a very straight line that I drew, but toward the first down marker instead of a couple yards ahead, this ball would have been right on target. And that's another unfortunate miss for the Chiefs. We can see it from the end zone view just how close this was to a completion. You can see it was just over Worthy's head. Had Worthy taken this 2 yards deeper, which is what I would argue is what it looks like he's going to do as he makes his break as Mahomes is going to throw this, then this is a first down. At this point, you probably guessed that the next sliding doors moment is again the very next play. Unfortunately, the Chiefs got pre-snap penalty, and so it went from 3rd and 15 to 3rd and 20. And here come the Chiefs lining up at 3rd and 20. On this play, Mahomes takes the snap, and he gets fairly quick pressure as Wanya Morris gets beaten toward the inside. He feels this pressure coming, and he bails out to the right. It's a bit too bad because the way things were set up, you do wonder if he had doubled back and tried to go left, if he would have had a little more time since this end was inside. But I guess, Crosby wasn't inside on the other side. He was kind of inside as well, but Crosby managed to detach and take a pretty good angle to run down Mahomes and force him to not be comfortable making a throw. To his credit, Justin Watson ended up uncovering down the field beyond the first down marker, and Mahomes tried to get it to him. It's a pretty tough throw, and he wasn't able to keep it in bounds. I mean, it's a very tough throw, although it is a throw that Mahomes has made before, but he wasn't able to make it here. So here you can see Wanya Morris just getting walked back immediately. Mahomes feels this pressure and bails out. Unfortunately for him, Max Crosby sees it as it's coming and does a great job applying pressure here. Mahomes gets this throw off to Watson. He just isn't able to keep it in bounds. I mean, it's a tough throw, but we've seen Mahomes do crazy things like this before. Unfortunately, if Watson had gotten this ball even just like another 2 feet in but toward the field, he might have been able to keep feet down and make this a catch. But unfortunately, it was incomplete. The Chiefs ended up having to punt on this drive because they got moved back with this penalty. They have a new kicker, Matthew Wright. So we went from first down where if Mahomes had hit that pass to Gray, if they had been on the same page, that could have been a touchdown. Instead of 7 points, the Chiefs get 0 from this drive after 3 straight plays that, had they gone a little differently, would have at the very least continued this drive into the red zone, or at the best could have resulted in a touchdown. Now we're going to jump to a minute to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs are trying to run a 2-minute drill here. They're up 10-3 at this point, and they are trying to get points before the half. This is the first play of their 2-minute drill with 1 minute left. And on this play, the Raiders end up running a 0 blitz. So as you see here, here are the rushers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All 7 of these guys are going, so you just have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys covering 4. So against 0 blitz, the real thing is you need your hot routes, the guys that are going to get open quickly. There isn't, there's conservative man coverage here because they're just trying to hold on until the rush gets home. So from Mahomes' perspective, he's got to get someone who he can get open quickly. And on this play, he does have 2 routes that end up opening up fairly quickly. First is Juju Smith-Schuster, who runs a whip route right here. He's open right away. The second is Justin Watson, who comes down and sits right here. Again, open right away while Mahomes still has the ball. Unfortunately, Mahomes is completely fixed on Kelce. He's trying to trust him to win, but Kelce runs a little bit of a longer developing route. And by the time Kelce makes his break and turns for Mahomes to anticipate it, unfortunately, it looks like Mahomes has kind of like given up on that route. He turns and sees Watson. So at this point, like the ball kind of, no matter what, the ball needs to get out by now. He's sitting back there. He's hit the back of his drop. He needs to release right now. He wanted something for Kelce, but Kelce is not, this being a hot route, I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication or misunderstanding from Kelce. Like Kelce really needs to do what Watson did on this play and literally just come here and sit. And you wonder if that's what Mahomes was expecting to happen. Because you see him gearing up to throw to Kelce right here. But Kelce's not looking, so he eats it and then starts to look for something else, and this is where the rush gets to him. He tries to step up, as he's got a guy coming here, but the entire pocket collapses and he gets sacked. If he hadn't stuck on Kelce so long here when Kelce's not looking, if he had looked over to Juju or to Watson earlier, I think this is a completed pass. Or if Kelce, realizing the coverage, which he normally does, stops right here and just gives Mahomes a target, then you're looking at a 5 or 6 yard gain, you keep it moving. Instead, Mahomes gets sacked, and this ends up being a 5 yard loss, and they lose about 35 seconds on the clock, like trying to get everything set up after the sack and then the next play. And they ended up on this 2-minute drill getting in a situation where they ran out of time and had to kick a 59 yard field goal, which in that weather with a new kicker signed off the street, Matthew Wright, wasn't able to get enough distance to make that kick. Had they had the extra 5 yards here, well, it wouldn't have just been 5 yards. A 5 not for the sack, and then another 5 or 6 from a pass completion. It's an 11 yard difference, let's say. That makes it a 48 yard kick. And if with that 11 yard difference, they'd also saved some time, they might have been able to get even closer. So again, this is a situation where they might have lost out on 3 points because of this play going the way that it did. We now jump ahead to 9:48 to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs are still up 10-3, and they've got a 2nd and 9 at about the 13 yard line of the Raiders, trying to again punch it in the red zone. So this play actually ends up being an illegal formation on Jawan Taylor. He's lined up a little deep. So the rule is that your head has to be parallel to at least the belt line of the center. And Taylor is a little back here. So this ends up being an illegal formation. So even if the Chiefs had a positive play, this would have come back. But even worse, interestingly, maybe partially because Taylor was lined up so deep, he gets beat inside by a spin move by Max Crosby, who completely collapses the pocket and forces Mahomes to bail. And to make matters worse, as Mahomes is trying to run out of this, he drops the ball and ends up having to dive on it. It ends up being a sack and loss of 17 yards. Completely scuppering any chances that the Chiefs had of scoring a touchdown on this drive, forcing a 3rd and extremely long. So again, you can see here, there's a big gap between Taylor and Smith, and you wonder if part of this is because Taylor had been lined up too far deep. Crosby with a nice spin move to the inside, and he's got Mahomes cornered. Crosby actually goes down, which would have been nice if Mahomes hadn't dropped the ball. So he had to dive on it and take a big loss. And again, the Chiefs in the red zone, by virtue of losing 17 yards on this play, make it impossible to score a touchdown. They end up getting 10 yards back on 3rd down so that they're in reasonable field goal range, and they kick a field goal to go up 10-3. Now we're at 3:20 to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs are up 13-3, and they have a 3rd and 3 at the Vegas 17-yard line. Again in the red zone. This time, again, the Raiders run a 0 blitz. They were very aggressive. They didn't run a lot of these too deep coverages. They ran single high and then they ran 0. And so here you got all these guys coming. So again, like we talked about earlier, the big thing is your hot receiver. Somebody's got to get open quick. You only need 3 yards on this play. And their initial guy who one could have considered hot was Juju. They ran a pick for him here. They had Gray come in, Juju run out. His defender is way up there. So a quick throw to the flat here, and Juju probably has a chance to run for he just needs to get here for the 1st down. But Mahomes dropping back, sees Kelce against 0. He steps back and tries to step through and fire this, and look at where Kelce is when Mahomes is trying to run it. He's coming in this direction as the ball is coming out, and he's probably making the decision where to throw it right about here. Kelce's breaking this way. Well, unfortunately, in Kelce's scramble drill mode, he veers around and the throw falls harmlessly to the ground. Instead of continuing on his trajectory, which could have led him to throw, he actually just bent it around that way. The throw comes in this direction. It's another situation that's just not quite on the same page. And you have another situation where 7 becomes 3, and the Chiefs lose a potential 4 points. Here's the blitz. Mahomes wants... So he's actually... Who is he looking at initially? It looks like he's looking to his right. Is he looking over... I wonder what he wants here initially. Is he looking at Gray? Maybe he was thinking about just throwing this into Gray. It's interesting that he was looking to his right and not considering Juju. Well, he didn't. It doesn't look like he went all the way over, but he actually gets to Kelsey late. I didn't realize this. He gets to Kelsey pretty late because Kelsey is starting over here. You can see Kelsey enter the frame right here, right? And Mahomes' eyes are still in this kind of direction from back here. So Mahomes looking over there, and then this is right when he sees Kelsey, right? He comes back and he throws it, but Kelsey at this point is double back. But then the question is, if he's looking over at the right, what is he seeing? Unless he's looking at the rush, because you would think... I mean, I'm guessing he's considering whether to make this throw. Because with this route combination and this defender high, you do wonder, like the conservative thing to do right here would have been right now, unless he doesn't trust Juju to like spin around and make this catch, or he doesn't feel like looking back quickly enough to make that throw to Juju right as he comes underneath here. Because the safety has a long way to close to prevent him from getting to like... He needs to essentially get to the 14-yard line, which is right there. But I guess he was looking at Gray. That's the only thing that makes sense here. He's looking at Gray. Then he feels the rush and steps up to Kelsey. But unfortunately, right as he's throwing it to Kelsey, Kelsey veers around. Not on the same page. Ball falls to the turf. Again, the Chiefs get 3 instead of 7. Situation where instead of going up 16-3, they could have gone up 20-3. Would have really felt different at this stage of the game. Although one could argue, and really should argue, that they should have held a 16-3 lead and not made it so hairy at the end in any case. Our next sliding doors moment comes near the end of the third quarter. 25 seconds to go in the third quarter. At this point of the game, the Chiefs had been up 16-3, and then they gave up a huge kick return, followed by a 2-play touchdown drive, and suddenly the Raiders had life. The game became 16-10, and the Chiefs offense got back on the field and was faced with a 3rd and 11. This is the key time to try to move down and score points and prevent this from snowballing. They had been kind of controlling this game to this point, had been up 16-3. And points on this drive, particularly a touchdown on this drive, might help to quell the boost that the Raiders had gotten here. But they were in 3rd and 11 quickly and really needed a first down to get this drive going. Mahomes drops back to throw. And as he hits the back of his drop, he doesn't like what he sees. Hits the back of his drop, nobody's open here. They're trying to get Hopkins across the field here, and Mahomes, unfortunately, this time seems to run himself into a little bit of pressure. So as he drops, the Raiders have a late stunt from their defensive tackle over here, who sweeps around, and that is unfortunately exactly where Mahomes runs himself. I think he's feeling a little bit, maybe I'm being a little hard on Mahomes. He's feeling a little bit of Crosby getting around the edge here, which might be contributing to why he bailed left. But because he bailed left, he invited further pressure on this side. And so he's not able to get to sit and wait, which was unfortunate. If this pocket had been clean, Travis Kelce just completely drops his defender with a nice cut here and goes to the sideline. So Kelce was wide open here if Mahomes had been able to make a throw. But at this point, Mahomes is running for his life. and he managed to step through Crosby. And as Hopkins comes over here, he then doubles back and gets open right as Mahomes, as a last gasp effort, sees him and throws the ball over to him. And actually, Hopkins is right there and inexplicably drops the pass. Very rare for DeAndre Hopkins, who, weirdly enough, I had tweeted pretty soon before this that DeAndre Hopkins' hands are unreal. He just always seems to come up with catches. But for whatever reason, in this crucial moment, he dropped that one. If this one he had gotten a first down, maybe the Chiefs can continue a drive down here and score. Instead, they ended up having to punt the ball back to the Raiders, up only 16-10. Now let's see it from the end zone view. Again, so Mahomes drops back, and he's feeling, I think I shouldn't have said he needlessly bailed out. He definitely was feeling pressure, but the Raiders did a good job accounting for this. He sees that here and tries to navigate back to the middle. Actually does a great job escaping the pressure, and then has a last gasp chance to get it over to Hopkins, and Hopkins dropped it. I never would have believed it, and I doubt we'll see anything like it again because he's so sure-handed. But in this moment, Hopkins dropped it, and the Chiefs had to punt, only up 16-10. So now we jump ahead to 10:36 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs are losing at this point. They're down 17-16. Their 16-3 lead has evaporated with two quick Raiders touchdown drives. And suddenly they're down by one, and they've got a 3rd and goal right around the 5-yard line. Really trying to punch it in here. They're down 17-16, hoping to take a 23 or maybe even 24-17 lead with a touchdown here. Mahomes drops back out of the gun, and the Raiders are only rushing 3. They're really going max coverage. And even with that, Wanya Morris gets immediately beat around the edge, and Mahomes is sacked. Just has no chance on this play whatsoever. And the Chiefs are forced to kick a field goal. If you see here, the Raiders only rush 3, but Wanya right here gets beat immediately. Mahomes has no chance, just has to eat it for the sack. And the Chiefs are forced to kick a field goal to go up 19-17. Another situation where the Chiefs lost out on 4 potential points because they weren't even able to attempt really a 3rd down play with giving up the pressure and the sack so quickly. Now the final play of this sliding doors series of play comes with 2:09 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs have a 19-17 lead, and they have a 3rd and 2. Basically, with 2:09 to go, the Raiders have no timeouts. If the Chiefs get a first down, they end the game. Knowing that the 2-minute warning is in 9 seconds, they don't really have to run the ball here, because the most time they can take off the clock is 9 seconds. So they actually run a shot play here. They make it look, they run a play action look. They're in a very heavy set. This is actually 13 personnel. Kingsley Suamataia is eligible as a 3rd tight end. So essentially they have 3 tight ends and 1 running back, which gets you 13 personnel. And their lone wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, and he's the only person they send out on a pass pattern. They run the play action, they have a 9-man protection to block, and they just send Worthy deep. They get him open, but they're just not able to connect. Mahomes slightly overthrows this ball, and the Chiefs end up punting the ball back to the Raiders to give them a chance to come down the field. Here it is again. Mahomes throws this out there for him, and they're just too far out for him, and they're not able to connect. It's an incomplete pass. Completing that one would have iced the game. I mean, if you hit him in stride, it might have been a touchdown, but regardless, even if he caught it at any point, that would have ended the game, and they wouldn't have had to have that crazy sequence at the end where the Raiders lost a fumble due to a snap error, and the Chiefs ended up sealing the game that way.